So a good friend of mine recently reached out and he was asking how to scale his home service business. So I figured I would not only help him do that, but also make a video sharing exactly how we plan to do that for his business as well. If you don't know who I am, my name is Donovan and I have scaled a moving and junk removal business in my local town from 0 to 6 figures in under 6 months. And now I show you guys exactly how to replicate that. So the first step for his home service business is going to be defining our goals. We need to have clear direction for where we are trying to go, not just for revenue, but for our service area and where exactly he wants to dominate and the exact services that he wants to do this for. Him being in bin washing, he could also easily transition into doing pressure washing as well. So that's why we need to define not only the services that we're going to provide, but also where we are going to be doing that at. As far as the bin cleaning side of that business, he's going to need to have his route as dense as possible. So it's important that we define the service area so we know where to market and scale to. After we define our goals for the business, we now need to define our ideal client. And this used to be my least favorite part about any aspect of the business. And it was really because I didn't understand the importance of it. I thought, who cares? We just need customers and we need to get money. But there's a little more importance to defining your ideal customers. And the main reason for this is because we need to know where to find them. If we don't know who our customer is, we're going to have a hard time finding avenues to reach them and capture them and bring them into our business. By defining our ideal customer, we can also define our business in essence. So if my ideal customer is going to be more lower hanging fruit, that's going to affect how my business operates and who I'm targeting, the amount of budget that I have to market, and honestly, a lot of the fundamentals behind how that business is going to work. Now, on the other side of that, if I define my clients as being in a more high skilled neighborhood and having more disposable income, that's also going to affect my business because now I need to have a bigger budget for marketing, but I also need to have a brand that is going to align with those customers. If I am providing McDonald's level service, but trying to charge a 5-star restaurant price, that's not going to line up with my customers. And defining our ideal customer does not have to be super complicated. We mainly want to define their age range, where they live, and what their income looks like. From there, we'll be able to determine where we need to spend most of our marketing efforts at, whether that be with guerrilla marketing or digital marketing, and we can cut some of the fat by not marketing to everybody. So the next step is going to be aligning our brand with our ideal customer. And we're going to do this not only through the messaging in our marketing, but also in the image of our business. If we're going to be going after higher ticket clients, we need to have a higher ticket message and higher ticket image. So with messaging, that is going to be more around freeing up their time, decreasing their stress, things that a higher income individual is going to find value in. And then we also need to pair that with the right image for the business. So that's going to be a professional logo, professional uniforms, and clean enough of a work vehicle and equipment. That doesn't mean you have to have all brand new stuff. I've ran my businesses with all used outdated equipment, but we made sure to have it nice. So we would have a clean, fresh vehicle, one solid color. We would have our logos on the vehicles, the trailers, and we would have uniforms for the teams, as well as having very clean logos and marketing materials. So our business cards, flyers, door hangers, and our yard signs were all branded properly and professionally. And even if you don't have the nicest setup when you're starting out, if you focus on creating a brand that has perceived value, that's going to give you a head start versus having a shitty, cheap logo that looks like a third grader made it and having no uniforms and a busted ass truck with a magnetic sign on it. And that's not to knock people who do that, but if you really want to scale a home service business, that's what's going to separate you from the chuck in a truck kind of guy versus being able to build an actual business. And a lot of that comes with building a brand. And that's another thing that I never really put a lot of thought into or thought was really significant. But the farther I go into business, the more I realize that is very important. And people are oftentimes buying from the brand that they perceive, not just the actual service that they need. So now that we've laid the foundation for the business, now we can get into all of the stuff that's actually going to scale it. So the first thing, of course, is we need customers. So we're going to market and do a marketing blitz to get them. Now that we have an ideal customer that is defined, we know where they live, we know how much money they make and how old they are. Now we can market to those people with the right messaging from our brand to acquire them. And this is going to help us with not only our acquisition rate, but it's also going to help in the cost of acquiring these customers. If we know that when we land these customers, we're going to have either lifetime value that's higher, or we're going to have a higher ticket that we can sell to them, we're going to be able to spend more money on marketing. And that's the difference between home service businesses that are scaling and home service businesses who are stagnant or just dying more or less. It's being able to afford marketing and understanding that that is a necessary evil of the business in order to scale it. There's a lot of guys that I get my work for free on Facebook groups, or we're word of mouth for the past 30 years. That is great. But if you're trying to scale, how are you going to scale word of mouth to another location? Or how do you scale word of mouth to a location that's 30 minutes away? And how can you predict how many word of mouth customers you're going to get the next month? If you have a clear marketing system and you know what your acquisition cost is, your closing ratio, and your conversion rate, that is scalable. Word of mouth is not scalable. Free Facebook advertising sometimes is scalable, but you do hit a ceiling oftentimes with it. So anyway, that was a little bit of a rant, but there's two forms of marketing that I'm going to suggest to him and that I like to do whenever I'm doing a marketing blitz and just trying to get off the ground. So the main goal is we are trying to control a small radius in our town. So let's say that's a 15-mile radius. We want to dominate that and we want to hammer customers until when they think of that service that they need, we are the only ones that they can think of. And we're going to do that by guerrilla marketing and digital marketing paired together. A lot of times I'll see home service businesses in my area that focus on one or the other, and they don't have a full-fledged system. And that's kind of like fishing out of one pond when you can fish out of multiple ponds and get more fish. And by having all of this foundation laid out, that's going to allow us to do that profitably. So as far as guerrilla marketing goes, that's going to be your standard yard signs, door hangers, printing out business cards, of course, passing those out. For him in specific, he's able to do door to door. He can do door hangers. He can put his business cards all over certain neighborhoods, have his yard signs at the entrances and exits of the neighborhoods that he's going to be targeting, and then also having his signage on his trucks and his trailers. That way, whenever he's in the neighborhoods doing those services, the neighbors can see him and collect his info, and it's basically free marketing at that point. As far as digital marketing goes, you need to have a presence not only on Google, but on Facebook as well. And these are the two biggest platforms for most home service businesses. The reason Google is so powerful is because somebody is specifically searching for the service that you provide. So if you do pressure washing and somebody's typing in pressure washing in my area, that is going to be a very high converting lead compared to somebody who might have received direct mail or even some of the guerrilla marketing. Now, that doesn't mean to not do it. It's just that those forms of advertising are going to be a higher conversion. But when you pair that with guerrilla marketing, you have multiple touch points with that customer before you do business with them. So somebody who has seen my door hangers and went on Google and found me is going to have a higher chance of converting versus somebody who only had one versus the other. So with Google, we're going to focus on SEO and getting ranked for those specific keywords as far as bin washing or pressure washing. The area we live in is not really the best for paid ads on Google, and most people aren't doing it in the first place. So organic gets us far enough, but in bigger population areas, you may have to pair paid ads on Google with doing SEO, which is search engine optimization and basically ranking for those specific keywords. As far as the ads side of it, that would be your Google ads pay per click, and then doing local service ads, which is basically Google's version of a lead generation platform where you pay per lead versus paying per click on the Google ads side of it. With local service ads, the conversion rate for that is going to depend mainly on your area. In my area, local service ads works pretty good, but I've heard in other people's areas that they don't convert very well. So it's just going to depend on where you are and the services that you provide. Facebook marketing, we're going to want to do a combo of a few things. You, of course, are going to want to join all of your local Facebook groups and start posting in those regularly. Try to provide value more so than just your offer. And then we also want to have different forms of content that we're posting on Facebook. So make sure to take videos of you doing the jobs, have videos of you spraying out the bins, have videos of you and your team doing XYZ project. Now, what I like to do when it comes to Facebook ads is just have a handful of different posts that I'm going to boost, and do this through the ad manager, of course, but just run a few ads in my local area or in the specific radius that we're targeting, and just let those run continuously and swap them out every month or so. Another trick with Facebook is to create a general ad, either photo or video, that people see, and then gauging interest off of that initial ad, and then targeting all of the people with more continuous ads who showed interest. So for me, if I'm trying to promote my moving services, I'll have a video that says, hey, we heard you're moving soon. Here's a few tips on how to make your move go smoothly, or whatever. They watch a certain percentage of that video, then I'm going to retarget them because I know that they're moving soon and they have interest in that. And I'm going to keep remarketing videos and posts and pictures to them until they eventually call us and set something up. And that's a pretty strong thing on Facebook because you can build a lot of trust with that customer before you even make it to their door. And they basically feel like they've already met you if you're running video ads. And that's something that you can't necessarily get from a Google search. But again, they're different platforms, so they have different ways of working. Now that we are marketing this business and we are getting customers in, we need to have a sales and a delivery system for the services that you're going to provide. So as far as sales goes, that's pretty much just answer the phone. A lot of small businesses don't answer the phones. I myself fall into this as well. I'll be on a project and I just don't feel like answering it, or we're getting swamped with work, so I just leave it be. But this is honestly a bad place to be, and it kills your business in the long run, because if you're not constantly answering the phones and handling those sales and keeping the pipeline full, you'll hit dead spots in your business. And it's honestly a waste of money too if you are spending it on paid marketing for your business. So step one is just answer the phone. Also have somewhat of a sales process that you follow. So for me, I follow the same script every single time that I answer the phones, and then we take customers through the same process. So answering the phone, getting all of their information, taking them through the process of getting an estimate, and then finally being able to book that job and closing them. And it doesn't have to be a complex system, but you do need to have something that you are following that is repetitive, that you can keep track of, know your conversion rates on your leads, and then eventually be able to have somebody else manage that for you. And that's another aspect of sales that you need to keep track of, is what is your conversion rate. So if you're putting out yard signs, you need to know that I got 5 calls from these yard signs and 2 of them converted. So I have a decent conversion rate with that marketing system. Or maybe you've been spending money on Facebook ads and you have a pretty low conversion rate, or you've noticed that the average job size through that platform is lower. So maybe you cut some of the spend on that platform and raise it on another. This is all part of the sales system that you need to have proper tracking in place, and you can do this through a CRM. And that kind of leads us into the next step, which is to have a CRM and organize your business. So there's a lot of home service businesses that are doing stuff on paper. They have paper invoices. Maybe they're using a Google or an Outlook calendar, and they don't have any real clear process or anything on the back end that is managing all of their clientele. And this is the case for my friend as well. He's doing most of it on paper. So that's one of the big things that we're going to update with his business is getting all of his back end fixed and having a CRM that can manage everything. So he'll be able to schedule his route, he'll be able to have all of the payments processed through that CRM, and then he's also going to have the benefit of data. And that's something that a lot of small businesses overlook. They might do a one-time service for a customer, or they have them on a recurring schedule, but they completely undervalue the data that they have paid to get. So if you paid $1,000 a month in marketing and now you have this list of customers, you essentially want to squeeze as much revenue and profit out of that as you can, of course, in a ethical way. But if you've spent money on getting all of those customers, you deserve to get the revenue out of it. And if you are just serving your customer one time, you never got their info, how are you going to remarket to them in the future and get more business and more lifetime value out of that customer? You can't. So if you have a CRM in place, you're able to collect as much data as you can, and there is value in that customer data. You can market to them every single month and either get a referral out of them or get repeat business out of them. And that's going to play into your numbers when you're scaling as well. So if I have a customer and they do a one-time service with me for $500, that was their lifetime value. But if I am remarketing to my customers every quarter, twice a year, or maybe just once a year, and I can get them to repeat with me, now I can increase that lifetime value, but then I can also increase how much money I can spend to get that client. And when you are scaling a business, there's pretty much 2 things that are important. What is the lifetime value of that customer, and how much can I spend to get them? Because if I'm trying to scale and I'm trying to scale quickly, I want to be able to get as many customers as I can at the best price. And if I know those numbers, I can outmarket a lot of my competition and I can build that book up faster. And then whenever I remarket to them for free because I have all of the data, now I'm more profitable the next go around. So let's say I break even the first year acquiring a lot of customers. Now the next year, whenever they repeat business with me or it's the new season, I'm getting all of that money at no cost to me. So that's where the scale comes into play, is that let's say on average it would take me 5 years to get 500 customers, but now because I can pay, I can get 500 customers in year one, and maybe I break even on them, but I just cut out 4 years of waiting to get those customers. And then the next year, I make all that money for free. So now instead of 4 years, 5 years to get 500 customers, 1 year, and then on year two, now I'm making 500 customers worth of money, but at no cost to me. So that's kind of the thought process that goes into scaling a home service business, is how much can you spend and how much can you profit on the back end. And I mean, that's basic business, but sometimes it takes it being broken down for it to somewhat make sense. Yeah, absolutely. And what I can do also is I'll book it for you, and then I'll wait to send out that invoice for the deposit whenever we get a little closer to that date.
Okay.
All right. I'll send you a text that way I can get all your info, and then as soon as I get that back, I'll get everything set up for you, and then we'll do
Okay, I appreciate it.
22nd at 11 a.m.
Sounds good.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So after we have a CRM and our sales process in place, we now need to create systems and processes so that later on down the road, other employees can do this process for us, or just so that we can have a defined process that we follow so that we do the same thing every time and it is replicatable and our numbers are going to stay the same. So I want to know that my marketing cost is going to be relatively the same and my close ratio is going to be the same from month to month. And some of this is going to change for seasonal businesses, but if I'm doing something different every time I answer the phone, or if I have a different process for every customer, it's going to be really hard to track this and be more difficult to streamline that process. So we can keep our systems pretty simple. As far as the sales systems go, that's pretty much just what we're going to say whenever we answer the phones and the process that we take our customers to. So for me personally, I'll answer that initial call. If I need to schedule an in-person estimate, I will do that. Or if I need to collect photos, I will direct them that way. Once I get them, then we give them the estimated pricing, and then we go along through the booking process, collect their information, put them in the CRM, and then set up that appointment. For you, it may look a little bit different, but just creating a system around that process. And then as far as your production processes, you also want to have those systematic as well. So if you're doing pressure washing, what does that system look like for you? And then later on, what would that look like for an employee? Or if you're doing bin washing or junk removal or moving, whatever that service may be, you want to have a process around it so that every customer gets the same exact interaction every single time. You can't scale a shitty service, and you don't want to, because you're just going to scale issues. But if you have a good streamlined process for all of the services that you provide, then of course you can scale that and make more money. So if you like this video, be sure to like, share with a friend, and comment down below. I know I kind of went on a little bit of a rant, but it's been a while since I've made a video and I just wanted to put something out there. If you guys want more info on how to scale businesses through SEO and Facebook ads, be sure to join my membership. I'm going to be creating a community around this and have a monthly membership where you can get this info and do live calls with me. I'll help you dissect y'all's businesses and give you all the insights that have helped me to scale my business over the last 10 years. Thank you guys for watching. Y'all have a good one.